Shalom, giving all praise unto Yahbashim Al-Shai, Hakodash. Double honors unto the apostles of Great Millstone, and honors you brothers to be pushing this truth in sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. I'm the brother Ibadia coming out here to give you this truth for the grace and mercy of Yahbashim Al-Shai, Hakodash. This is going to be a relatively quick video. We're going to go into ESG scores, and hopefully by the end of this video, you're going to be able to see, by way of the corporations that you have out there within Babylon, America, which is Babylon, is already under a form of social credit or social credit system. And what we know from, let's go to the Google and let's define social credit system. So social credit system, right? Let's get some definitions. Social credit system is a national credit rating and blacklist being deployed by the government of the people of Republic of China. So that's what they're doing in China right now. And this, we know the elite banking families are going to try to do within the NWO. You got the cameras out there, the self-recognition cameras. So you do something that's against the code of ethics or code of conduct that they have out there, which is, we know, is going to be demonic. It's going to basically benefit the government and not the people. We know that you're going to have a lower social credit system, and that's going to have a negative impact on your credit. And here within the UK, you have what's known as a credit rating, which is a precursor to the social credit system, but a credit rating that doesn't take into account how much money you might have in your bank, how much money you might make a year, but it's an arbitrary number. Well, not necessarily an arbitrary number, but it's a number that they give you based on your credit history. So you've borrowed money and you've paid it back. Certain individuals from certain backgrounds have good credit, just up to offset. I believe, and also too, you got, I suppose every country employs the credit score system, because you had this guy Zuckerberg. He had a credit so high, and he was so good with the bank when he did his mortgage. When he got his mortgage, I believe he got the mortgage for like 0%. So already got a precursor to the social credit system here with the credit score. But in China, they already have the next level, of which, throwing chewing gum or putting chewing gum on the floor, that could negatively impact your social credit score out there within China and affect your ability to work, survive, and be able to take care of your family. So what we got to understand in this particular video is the company Blackrock, first and foremost. So Blackrock is a financial institute, and if we read here, hopefully they're going to give us a little bit of information. BlackRock Inc. is an American multinational investment company based in New York, founded in 1988. Initially, as a risk management and fixed income institutional asset manager, BlackRock is one of the largest asset managers. Okay, and they account for about 10 trillion with a T, 10 trillions worth of assets underneath their management. Okay, so this is a major, in terms of influence, this is a major corporation. It's going to be relevant. This company is going to be relevant to this video. They are the subject of this video. I'm going to watch a little bit of Joe Rogan in a second, to give a little bit more insight and detail to this lesson. So they're an asset manager. Let's go into a little bit the world of the business, which I'm not an expert on the world of business, but I do try to watch these kind of videos in the background as I'm on the job, to be more well-rounded and more well-versed, as you're supposed to when you come into this truth. When you go into the world of business, especially when you have a company that's publicly owned, that is to say you have investors, shares that are publicly traded, you have a situation where you have to please a external body of individuals, potentially, to make your business successful, right? BlackRock is an asset manager which is heavily involved in that, and you got many companies underneath their management, such as Disney. Disney is a corporation underneath their management. What else comes to mind? There's a whole bunch of big companies out there that's underneath this BlackRock entity, right? So why is this relevant to the idea of social credit system? Well, they came up with this thing called the ESG score, right? And the ESG score is a score that they give to a company to indicate whether that particular company is worth investing in. A strong ESG rating indicates that a company manages its ESG risks well in comparison to its peers, right? When we look at these ESGs, or what this ESG stands for, you should be able to get, it's already here, right? You'll be able to see some things, right? So it says, what do ESG scores measure? Carbon emissions, climate change vulnerability. These are all new world order terms. Water sourcing, biodiversity, and land use. Toxic emissions, all new world order terms, right? Packaging waste and materials. Governance issues in, so what do we want to do? The social, right? Labor management, worker safety training. What have they got here? Product safety and quality. Now this social thing, it goes deep, right? This is where we can get a Joe Rogan video. The social side of the so-called ESG score is kind of like the backbone. Well, not kind of like, it's like, it is the backbone of how you get these TV programs, movies, this push for the rainbow alternative lifestyle individuals is perpetuated by way of this ESG score. Because when you go into this ESG score and you got a company like Disney and they don't comply to this ESG score, right? That is to say, they don't comply to the social side of this ESG score. They don't comply to pushing the LG to the B to the Q, right? They don't comply to that. Then their credit score, which is their ESG score, which is the ability for somebody to look at a number and say, I'm going to invest in this company, that's going to go down, right? This is why I said you already got the social credit system. It's just on these corporations. I mean, let's not forget, with this company BlackRock, which is the owner of the ESG score and the determinant of the ESG score, you have a situation whereby $10 trillion worth of assets are managed underneath this, right? So $10 trillion worth of business goes through this particular score. So all of these businesses that you're working for, all of these companies that you're working for all intents and purposes, if you're out there in Babylon, and also other companies and corporations outside of Babylon, not just in America, but because they're a big company, not just in America, but anything that falls underneath that umbrella, they're gonna have a low score if they don't comply to what? To the NWO. All right, let's listen to this video a little bit.
Lives Matter, the feeling as good people, because we're good people. We don't want racism. We don't want people hurt. We don't want people discriminated against. But we're being used like pawns and saying, oh, well, then do this and go here and say yes to this. And then before you know it, you're kind of stuck in the system where you're afraid to say, that's not okay. And for me, it's as simple as saying, I do not believe in an LGBT community. I believe in people, and they do their own thing, and they love who they love and do what they want, and that's one thing. It's not a fucking community that you can put together and say, this is what we're doing for them.
Right.
And I think trans women are the most abused by corporations now. They're using them everywhere, in every ad, and just to push and push and push.
Well, it's just because it's in vogue, right? So this is something that they latch on to.
In Vogue or ESG.
Yeah, they latch on to. But
of course,
you see that. So when you see these adverts and that, you see Nike with a rainbow tick. Okay, you see Reebok with the three stripes and their like rainbow colors. It all goes back onto that ESG score. They gotta please their creditors. They gotta please their boardrooms. They gotta please their investors, and their investors look at a number on a sheet. Let's say the number is from 0 to 1. They look at 0.5. Well, that's not a very good investment. We want 100, right? We want 1, right? Not 100, sorry, because I'm doing 0 to 1, right? Or we could do 0 to 100. We want 100, right? We don't want a 50. Okay, so this is like the backbone of how these things are being done out here, and that's why there's a heavy push for these agendas, because they are shadow corporations is a good way to put it, but they are people in the background that are pushing towards this. Right, there are people within the background that are pushing towards a particular agenda, which is the agenda of worshiping the spiritual demon Satan. I mean, how do you want me to put it? We look at Baphomet. Let's take a look at Baphomet, because we're using that rainbow community, right? And I remember reading something in like 2012, right? I remember reading something in like 2012, and I remember reading the article. I think it was maybe out of Texay Mars's, what's the name of this book now? He did a book exposing some of these demonic practices. I forget the name of the book. Can't believe I forgot the name of the book. Anyways, one of the quotes from there, either that book or another book that I was reading, was that the elite banking families wanted to have everybody as a hermaphrodite. Right? The agenda was to have everybody as a hermaphrodite. Let's go to a hermaphrodite. That's it. Okay, when we look at the hermaphrodite, that is yeah, you can see it, right? And you can see how that relates to the rainbow community, and that's why that gets pushed very heavy. That's a very demonic, satanic. You see that? You see a lot of this online, right? You see a hell of a lot of this online. Okay, you see a hell of a lot of these, like Dr. Uma Johnson. They done caught his ass with this, man. Tricked him. Right. Okay, and they got the seducers. Is it the seducers? That's the the so-called medical industry symbol, right? Damn, bro. And when you look at this image at the top, that's the new image for the Space Force. Let's put the Space Force in there. Space Force. So I remember looking at that. A cap in it. It was a cap. Space Force cap. You got the cap. There we go. Turn that upside down. Okay. Let's go to this. Let's go back. All right. Look at that. So going back onto the point of the video, I remember reading that about nearly maybe 7 years ago, and they, the agenda was to make everybody into a hermaphrodite, and that makes sense, because that's this is the chief deity, which is the spiritual demon Satan. This is the chief deity of the elite banking families. That's why you have an agenda within the ESG score, okay, which is the governing body, a major governing body of the world, right? They call this company Blackrock. Blackrock, the company that rules the world. Let's see if we can get it. Blackrock. And one of the top things that come out is owns the world, right? Owns the world. Now, obviously, they don't. It's just a front company for the elite banking families. And this guy that runs it is just a front guy. Just like how Zuckerberg is a front guy. Just like how what's this guy? What's the guy from Amazon? What's this guy's name? I forget the guy's name. That's like this guy is he's a front guy. He's a front guy, man. Clearly Amazon is like a CIA operation, man. Come on. Clearly Amazon is a CIA operation. Right? Clearly that's NWO. They bring the parcels down to your house, they put a camera on your door, you put the fucking microphone in your house. Clearly, I mean, call me conspiracy theorist, but come on, man. You're the one that put the camera on your front of your door and the Alexa in your house. Okay, so what do we have here? So let's tie up all of these ideas together and come to a somewhat of a cohesive conclusion. We got one, a company that is involved in managing 10 trillion worth of assets within the world. Two, very influential company at that. BlackRock, let's put 2008 crash. they created the conditions for the 2008 crash, and then they helped the government basically come out of the 2008 crash. They were the one that was managing the money that the government had for bailouts. But what they had created was a system whereby they was packaging mortgages, what they call securities, which is mortgages for all intents and purposes is a security because you pay the mortgage. So if someone's making an investment into something, they package that with something else, another loan, all these other securities, and trade that. So they package these securities, mortgage securities, with other things. So when people started to default on their mortgages, you had a situation where the whole thing started to collapse, right? But he created that, right? Or at least he was the face of it. And then he came in to fix up everything. Anyways, so this is a major corporation, right? And they're involved in pretty much everybody's business. And that's why you see the push towards this demonic agenda, because these companies, they have no, you ain't gonna be profitable unless you come underneath that you meet those scores. Now we know these companies are owned by Amalek anyway, right? The Amalek, the JOOs, right? We know that these companies are owned by Amalek anyway. But even if you wasn't, there's no escape, because you have a low ESG scores. Nobody's gonna invest in your company. That's why you see good ideas. Somebody might come with a good idea, and the company goes kaput because maybe his views were not aligned with the NWO. So just finish up on this.
What does it stand for again?
Environmental, social, corporate goals. Governance, I'm sorry.
Governance.
Environmental, social, corporate governance.
Catch new episodes of the Joe Rogan.
Yeah, and that's the score that you get from Blackrock. Blackrock looks at your company, looks at how you manage your environmental impact. That's where the carbon credits is gonna come in as well. Your social impact, you gotta comply with the NWO, and then ultimately you have a situation where if you don't comply, you ain't gonna be profitable. So hopefully that was a verification. With that, I'm gonna say, "Oh, praise unto Yahweh, honors unto the apostles, a great millstone, and honor you brothers that be pushing this truth in sincerity." Shalom.